Oh hey, what up adventurers, and welcome back to another episode of the Awkward Dungeon Master. This week we're going to talk about the difference between a one-shot and a campaign. So a few weeks ago I did a special episode on how to build your own one-shots for playing with friends who've never played D&D before or for use in conventions. And I think that went pretty well, but it did occur to me some of my viewers might be newer to Dungeons & Dragons, and you may not know the difference between a one-shot and a campaign, which I do occasionally talk about my home games too, and those are my campaigns. And then even within that, there's homebrewed campaigns and book campaigns, like fucking buy campaign books from Wizards of the Coast. Like, I ran Princes of the Apocalypse for a little while. I ran the whole book of Tomb of Annihilation, so, that kind of shit. So essentially, a one-shot is exactly what it looked like in the video from a couple weeks ago. It's meant to be played one time in a couple of hours. You can rerun them with new groups of people as many times as you want to. They're always there. But it is essentially a full story encompassed in one 3 to 5 hour session. You sit down, you play through the scenario, and that's it. Sometimes people take those one-shots and they'll move them on into campaigns, or they'll keep those characters and keep playing them in other one-shots, like in Adventures League through Wizards of the Coast in their organized play, which I do also run at the local game store, and we're doing a series of one-shots there. I'm running the one-shots to make it easier for us to get new people to come play the game with us, because, that's why we do it. But a campaign is long-form. So my very first game that I ever ran was a full homebrew, which was a goddamn mistake. Don't do it unless you're overly enthusiastic, like I was. I didn't know what I was doing myself. It was tons of fun. I wouldn't do it any other way. But I'm telling you, it's a lot of work. If you were not prepared for a metric fuck ton of prep work, don't do a homebrew for your first campaign. Use a frickin' book. You can alter things to your liking, but it will be much less work for you. But a campaign is exactly what it sounds like. It's long form. It can last as long as you want it to. And I think my Tomb of Annihilation game that I ran at the game store lasted for a year and a half. And at any given time, we had at least 6 players at the table. The most we ever had, I think, was 11 one night, which was absolutely insane. I do not recommend running tables with that many people, especially if you're a newer dungeon master, you're not familiar with the players that are at the table with you. It's like herding cats. I regularly referred to them as my herd of cats. I love you guys if you're watching this, but damn. And then my full homebrew that I started with, that one lasted for 2 years. We actually somehow magically managed to end that game on our 2-year anniversary, which was kind of insane because we didn't plan it that way. It's just kind of how it worked out. But that was pretty fantastic. The big boss fight at the very end was them fighting Gratz and then banishing him back to his palace in the Nine Hells, which was pretty epic. So I enjoyed that a lot. But I get a lot of people, especially people who are not familiar with this game that we all play, that ask me how you win, which we've answered that in an earlier video, and then also how long the game goes on for, because we talk about running these hours and hours long sessions. We had one guy that we played with for a while who liked to run a game that lasted for 8 to 10 hours on Sundays, which is a really long time to play Dungeons & Dragons, but it can be a ton of fun also. So, do what you do. You do you. It's always interesting to talk to people who don't know anything about D&D or RPGs really in general, because they don't realize that it just keeps going. Like, there's no defined end to a campaign. It can literally go as long as you want it to. You can keep tacking on more and more story arcs as you're going through. You can tie in people's backstories, and my home game right now, I'm slowly piecing in everyone's backstories, but there's also this full overarching campaign kind of undertone that everybody's kind of starting to dig into the meat of a little bit, but I've also broken that down into sections. So when you do campaigns, there's a lot of layering to the story, whereas whenever you do a one-shot, everything is very linear, for the most part one-dimensional. I have seen some with a little bit of layering, but those ones are a little bit more difficult to get the nuance out of, in my opinion, unless you're a very experienced DM, which I have seen people do it. It's possible. It's just more difficult. Both styles have their place. One-shots are great for gaming conventions, for introducing new people to the game, for running in game stores and getting new players to just kind of come out and get out of their comfort zone a little bit and try it out. Campaigns are great for really close-knit groups of friends. I know my friends that I play D&D with have become like my family. Tomato, it's whatever you like. Ignore my weird voices. I'm just rambling. Let me know which one you prefer, or if you played in a really cool one-shot or something like that. Drop that down in the comments. I want to see them. And until next time, keep it rolling, adventurers.